Hello everyone. In this video I'll be discussing the classes that I've chosen for my warband in the War Within Season 2. This isn't about what's meta, all specs are viable unless you're pushing the absolute highest of keys, so this is based off what I find to be enjoyable at the moment and what my goals for the season are. This season I'll be aiming for ahead of the curve as usual with my guild, and in Mythic Plus of hitting the 3000 IO score, the new achievement, the Keystone Legendary, on at least one character. First up, we've got Druid, specifically the Balanced Druid. I've opted for Balance due to its strong range damage capabilities, its utility in Raid and Mythic Plus, and just generally the versatility of that class overall. I've been playing it through the end of Season 1 on my Druid, got the 2500 IO achievement done. It's controversial for some, but I like the new way that the Eclipse works, and the talent set feels good for both single target and AoE. It just feels fluid. For the strengths, obviously it's the consistent range damage output. The longer the mobs last, the better you're going to do. Strong AoE capabilities, beneficial in Mythic Plus, utility through abilities like Typhoon, Innovate, Combat Res. Mark of the Wild buff, bringing versatility to everyone, really helps pushing those higher keys in clutch scenarios. Possibly the biggest win for me though is the 4 specs covering all the roles. The versatility in the gameplay, that's just really strong. If, like me, you tend to get a little bit bored easily, you can switch up roles without having to re-gear. There are some downsides though. Can be a little bit hit by heavy movement encounters, although there are a lot of instant casts now compared to some of the ranged. It's not quite at the beast mastery levels though. The ramp up time does sometimes feel very limiting. If you're doing a low key, things can be dead by the time you've dotted up and it looks like you've done nothing, although you've pressed all the buttons. And it might seem silly, but while the spells are visually appealing, the overall aesthetic of the Druid class in terms of their transmog options, with their forms and even with their tier sets, is not the best for me. However, it's nothing that a Glyph of the Stars won't fix. This next one might be seen as a bit of a kind of wild card pick, but I've selected Windwalker Monk. In every ability that a Windwalker has, when you press it, it feels impactful and the pace is fast. It's often overlooked by players, and it's one of the least represented classes in World of Warcraft currently, which is a crying shame. Windwalker is another spec that's gone through a lot of iteration in the recent tiers, but having mained it during Heroic Fireac, I know that when I decided I wanted a melee this season, it had to be a monk. It's got exceptional mobility, allowing for quick repositioning, strong AoE damage, which is really quite bursty at the beginning of pulls. You've got Paralyzed, Ring of Peace, Leg Sweep, really effective in group content for that CC. On the downsides though, the dual resource of Chi and Energy can feel counterintuitive sometimes, and pressing the wrong button can be quite punishing. It can struggle a little bit on single target encounters in Mythic Plus, but I do believe it's the best designed melee at the moment, and I can't wait to see how far I can push it this season. Next up, I've chosen the Shadow Priest. This specialization focuses on sustained damage in a unique void form with its mechanics that look visually amazing and feel impactful. A lot of the tier sets this time round are quite bland kind of damage amps, but this tier, priests get a random chance to proc an extra PI on themselves, which I think will create moments of just sheer fun and delight. I shied away from Shadow for a while due to the single DPS spec that the class has, putting it in a precarious position should the tuning gods hit it with a nerf bat, but I've got a good feeling about them this season for some reason. The strengths are obviously the strong sustained damage, particularly in multi-target situations, suffering a little bit the same fate though as Balanced Druids, that they really need the mobs to last long enough to get the full value. The utility comes through their dispels and their off healing, and obviously everyone's favourite cooldown, PI. I make some extra cash on that in Raid from selling it to the highest bidder. As for weaknesses, similar really to most of the casters apart from Beast Mastery. Movement hits them a little bit hard, but with careful planning and learning the encounters, that won't be a problem at all. Void form management requires a little bit of practice to get the most out of that damage window when you're in that extra form. I think I'm also tempted to try the Disc Priest rework, starting from this patch. It's been many expansions since I healed anything material, but this could be good content now, as Discipline looks to be in a great spot. My fourth pick is a bit tricky. I'm a fan of both Demon Hunter and Rogue, but they're both melee and I already have, 2 leather wearers. Rogue's always been a favourite of mine through the years, but Demon Hunter feels great to play at the moment from my testing, so we will see. To be honest, there are a lot of really good specs. I think Blizzard's done really well at class design and balancing actually. in the War Within. So I'm going to leave the 4th slot open for a wild card at the moment. If you've got any suggestions as to what that should be, please drop it in the comment section below. So those are my class choices currently for the War Within Season 2. Considered some of their strengths and weaknesses and what it is I'm trying to aim. Let me know how you choose your characters though. I want to hear what you're all planning on playing this season. Drop a comment below and I'd appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to help our little channel grow. Thank you for watching. See you next time.